We're now going to learn about the filter function, which is analogous to map. So similarly, function is in quotes, so it's technically a type, but it acts more like a function. Again, it is a good use case for anonymous functions, and its syntax is similar. We just substitute the word in filter for map. So filter, and the two arguments are the function and the iterable. So each item in the iterable will be passed to the function. And what filter does is it will act just as a filter. The function has to return a Boolean. So if it returns true, then that item is kept in the result. If it's false, it is not kept. All right, so the function, yes, must return a Boolean. So let's see how this works. And so it's pretty simple. We're gonna do filter, and we're gonna do a anonymous function. So lambda, that begins the function, and here is the parameter x. So in the body of the function, x will take on each one of these values, and we want to filter for the values greater than 4. So it's a very simple function. We'll just say x is greater than 4. So that will evaluate as true or false. And so this is the first argument. It's this entire anonymous function. And then we're just going to pass it in my list. So that's the iterable, and we're going to run it. And again, it returns like this filter object. And you can say filter obj. We'll just create a variable here to save it. And just like map, if you pass it to the list constructor, it will actually run through and do the filter. So just like with map, the filter does not take place until it is needed. So when we say list, we're forcing it to be a list, which means it will actually go through one at a time, starting on the left, and filter the results. So there's only 2 that are greater than 4, and that is 5 and 8. Okay, so just like map, you can use a list comprehension here. I believe it is a little bit easier. So I'm just going to write it all together from left to right. So for the filter, we're just going to get x as our expression. So for x in my list, and then we're going to have the condition. So this is a conditional list comprehension. Hopefully you remember these. If x is greater than 4. Okay, so again, we read it. Here's the iteration. We're going to one at a time. Then we have our filter over here. If it passes, x is greater than 4. And then the expression will just be x itself. So it's acting as a pure filter. So again, I suggest that you use list comprehensions over filter. They're just more common, and I believe a little bit easier to read. And you don't have to pass it into this list function to actually get the result. All right, so that is it for this filter function, which is actually a type.